Back again with another one, man. Fly Free Sports. Uh, I just had to recap this UFC Mexico card from last night, man. It was one of them weird nights that I didn't really appreciate because two of the fighters that I root for heavily lost. One embarrassingly. Um, I don't even know where to start, man. I think what we learned from last night is that for one, Ilia Topuria has no competition in the featherweight division. Like, I think Ilia will be champ for a long time before somebody else emerges to take that strap from him. Pause. Um, Brian Ortega, Brian Ortega coming off an injury, and he hasn't finished anyone since I think like 2019 or something like that. I know it's been a lot of years since he's actually finished a fight. So for him to come back and submit Yair Rodriguez in the third round of a fight that, like I said, he's coming off an injury. They fought the first time, and Ortega was injured in that fight. So for him to come back and do what he did last night to Yair, especially like I don't know if anybody was watching. Brian Ortega injured himself in the intro of the fight last night. Like he's bouncing as they're reading his numbers off and his record and all that shit. Like this nigga's bouncing up and down and comes down on his fucking ankle. Like he hurts himself literally 10 seconds before the bell rings. And somehow Yair Rodriguez loses to a guy who just injured himself. Yair's at home. He's in Mexico. You feel like this whole thing is set up for him to win and get back to that number one contender slot and challenge for the featherweight title against Ilya. But no, Yair actually started off pretty well in the first round, hit him with some shots. You know, I don't know if he ran his gas tank empty in that first round trying to get Ortega out of there or what, but he pretty much flatlined after that. Like the second and third round, it was done. Like he just looked like he didn't want to be there. Either that or the elevation got to him. 7,000 feet above sea level, and a lot of guys were struggling with that on the card last night. It looked awful. Like a lot of them fights look sluggish. I don't think they should have any more cards there or anywhere else that high above altitude. Like we're not getting a good product. We're just getting zombies out there fighting. Like it's just I don't know, man. Maybe training camps have to be different for those type of events or whatever. You know, fighters have to adjust, but the product just wasn't that great last night, man. For especially for the weight classes that were fighting. There were like five flyweight fights last night, and flyweights usually just give the best shows because they're quick. You know, you get to see a lot of the techniques from the smaller guys, and it just makes for more entertaining fights. But we didn't get that last night because the guys just looked fucking exhausted to say the least. But yeah, Yair Rodriguez, it may be over for him in that division, man. Like as much as it pains for me to say, I think he's like one of my five favorite fighters to watch, probably in the UFC. But he's just it didn't look good, man. Just I don't know what else to really say about it. Like he on the ground, he looked awful. Like he just looked terrible. Now I get Brian Ortega is a little bit better than him on the ground. We all knew that coming in, but we didn't expect. He just got dominated. Like I don't know. That shit was just disappointing, man. Especially since I had money on it. I think that's probably why I'm really mad. I had a parlay going. I would have won like $1,100. And Yair just shitted on that. So I was already mad, and it kind of fucked me up mentally going into the last fight of the night, which was another shit show performance from one of my favorite fighters, Brandon Moreno. You almost hate to say like he's on a decline because he's only 30 years old, right? But we come to expect so much more from Brandon Moreno than what he showed last night. Again, I don't know if it was the altitude, but he just didn't look like Brandon Moreno to me. Like the whole first round. He's doing this, he's I guess he's downloading data. He's kind of circling the cage and he's inactive for the most part, trying to figure out what Brandon Royval's throwing at him. But just completely ineffective, man. Even Herb Dean was like, "Oh, let's go. Like let's see some engagement." And they, he as he started to engage in the second round, even then it was just like everything was looping. Everything was a looping shot. Very minimal combinations. Just just sloppy. He just looked sloppy, man, to say the least. Like Brandon Royval, everything was straight down the middle, straight down the pipe, man. 1, 2, 3 twos. You know what I mean? Tagging him. Just his output was ridiculous. I think he threw like over 400 something punches. Like it's crazy. So shout out to Brandon Royval, man. I didn't give him too much respect coming into the fight, but he definitely earned that from me. Like he showed up. He was the better man last night, and there's really no excuses for Brandon Moreno, man. I don't understand. I don't understand how these Mexican fighters go back to Mexico and can't fight in Mexico at the elevation. You would think that, they would train there for an extended period of time, or, they'd be used to that kind of environment. And it just, I don't know, man. It just left a lot to be desired last night, and it really disappointed me, man. Like, so, um, yeah, so I don't know what's next. I don't know if Brandon Royval and Alexandre Pantoja run it back, because I mean, I guess the fight was okay. It was decent, but I don't know if anybody wants to see that again. There's no more, contenders in that flyweight division. As we know, Davis and Figueiredo left and went up to featherweight. I mean, bantamweight. Excuse me. He went up to bantamweight. So I don't know. I don't know. I think Pantoja will be the champ for an extended period of time. He's another one. Like just like I said about Ilya, I think he's gonna have the belt for a minute because I don't see anybody in that flyweight division beating him. He already beat Brandon Moreno 3 times. Like, there's nobody else really up there. Kai Kara is not gonna like. It's just I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how that shakes out, but more than likely, I think Brandon Royval and Alexandre Pantoja have another fight. What else happened last night? Raul Rosas Jr. pulled out of the fight sick. He was another one that was on my parlay. He pulled out of the fight. He couldn't get his shit together. They say he was sick. I don't know why they waited so long to call the fight. It was kind of like, okay, the fight is next, but the fight is off. They should have said that shit. They knew the fight wasn't happening probably hours before that. I don't know. I don't know, man. But he was on my ticket as well, so I don't know. But like I said, Yair already fucked my ticket up anyway, and then Brandon Moreno kind of sealed the deal anyway, so I wasn't really too mad about the money after Brandon Moreno lost because I wouldn't have won anyway. But like I said, weird night in Mexico, man. It was a big ass brawl in the crowd, man. Motherfuckers getting knocked out. It was crazy. Like, but I don't need any more surprises. So 299, I'm gonna need Suge to come out and handle business and knock the fuck out of Cheeto. Knock his fucking head off into the bleachers. You know what I mean? That's what I need to see. But if it's anything like tonight, man, my God, like, yeah, I don't sign up for these cards fighting the elevation. This shit is ridiculous, man. It's nothing more I could say about it. Well, like I said, I just had to come on here and give a little review of what happened last night on that fucking crazy ass card. There was some it was a couple decent fights, but the main fights that everybody cared about were kind of lackluster. I guess it happens from time to time. The UFC usually gives a great product on these cards, and last night was kind of. But anyway, Fly Free Sports, man. It's my UFC Mexico recap. Y'all holla at me, man. Like, share, subscribe, all the above. And we out.